So we got our agave stocks here, our century stocks, and we're about to didgeridoo it up. So the process here is gonna be chop off the knobbies here first, get it somewhat smooth on the outside. And then I think we're gonna chop it in half using this bandsaw. And once we chop it in half, there's going to be some filling on the inside, some corky stuff. Apparently it just scrapes right out of there fairly easily. So we're gonna open her up and then scrape her out, and then we're going to glue her together, clamp her back, and then we'll be didgeridoo before you know it. So we're in progress. I've got it peeled down. I've got all my knobbies cut off here. We're peeling it down. It's just the outer layer, kind of looks like this. It just is crumbly. It just kind of peels right off of there. We're just using a knife here, and we're just kind of scraping it down, peeling off all of the extra. Mine's kind of fresher. His looks like it's kind of sat longer, so he's actually peeling it easier than mine, I'd say. So he's over there working with a knife. We figured out our band size. I thought the height was going to adjust to be bigger so we could fit the didgeridoo through there, but it's not going to fit through there. They're pretty big at the end. So we're going to either split it or chop it with this Dremel saw here. We're not really sure what we're going to do yet. We might split it with some kind of chisel. We might use that hand saw there, right there. So just keeping you updated. So after a little video inspiration from a YouTube video, we found out you could just split the agave. You don't have to cut it, because your saw makes a curve when you cut. This knife blade is not going to remove any of the material. It's just going to split it all the way down. That way when we re-glue it, it's going to be almost seamless. So we're pretty pumped up about this. This is working. So he's just holding one side and just whacking the other. So we're in the... Oh yeah, by the way, we got them split. The knife worked great. Split right down the middle, no troubles. So we're working on getting it hollowed out here, and I'm not gonna lie, this is easier said than done. Like, it's just gonna take you a while if you're gonna do your own. So I mean, this is like a good probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes of work. So it's probably gonna take us, maybe a couple hours to get all this out of here. And you can see, I don't know if we're going thin enough or not. It could scrape a little bit more of this off, but I think the next step after we gut it would be, are we gonna scorch it? We're gonna scorch it. Some people will scorch this black, and then they pour a resin over it to seal it. So we might scorch it black, we might not. We might just leave it natural on the inside. I don't know. But so our process is basically going. We got a hook knife. We're kind of cutting I can't do it with a phone in my hand, but we're kind of cutting it like this in a triangle shape, and you come on this side and give it another cut here. And anyway, you end up cutting grooves out of it, kind of like that. And once you get that groove out of there, you can come back with what I've actually been using, and I'm cheating. I'm using a power tool. I've bent this blade to like a U shape. That's a scraper blade, but Tanner's staying indigenous with honoring his ancestors, and he's trying to stay completely mechanical. We only used a power tool once on his, and I've kind of been using power tools the whole time, and I'm making a little bit more progress, but not a whole lot more, to be honest. He's keeping up. So anyway, I'm just taking this tool, and I'm just, I'll get it going, and I'll run it down. And like I said, I can't do it with my phone in my hand, but it does work fairly well. And then we kind of made a scraper spoon out of this old pry bar that the teeth have been broke off, so we kind of got it sharpened on the end. And we're just going in and just scraping it like this after, and getting all the loose hairy stuff off. And this is kind of what it looks like when we're done. It's fairly smooth, and anyway, on to the next step. So we got it all cleaned out. I ran it over this, we didn't have a torch, so I just actually grilled it and torched the inside, and now we're gluing it back together. So you can see here we tried these clamps. They kind of warped the wood whenever we clamped down on it, and then they wasn't sitting straight. It was kind of a pain in the butt. So Tanner, this was his initial idea actually, and then we were like, wait, we don't need zip ties, we got clamps. And then after we clamped it, we were like, maybe we should use zip ties. And so these zip ties apply a nice even pressure. They keep it circle. Whenever it's clamped, it's not going to bow it out any. So what we're doing is, the way you get it tight is you just take these pliers, you can get it hand tight first, and then to really get it to clamp down, you just kind of use the pliers to tighten it fully. And some of them have even been snapping off. This one, I think, is tight enough. It's probably not going to snap off. These have been snapping off when I'm tightening them. That's just how you know they're tight. So anyway, we're almost done with the clamping part, and then I believe we're going to let them sit for maybe 24 hours, maybe less, just whenever we get around to it, and then it'll be time to resin. So it's day 2 here on the Didgeridoo project. Tanner has taken his Didgeridoo home to finish it. So I'm out here. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. I didn't let this sit for 24 hours, but it says the glue dries in 30 minutes. It says don't stress your joint for 24 hours, so it seems to be plenty dry. So I've got this little sander on my little multi-tool here, and I'm just, I've got it on, and I'm just going down it and sanding it off. And what you're really trying to get, if you can see on my sawdust here, there's a bunch of fine hairs, these little hairs here. You're gonna want to get all those off, because when you put your resin on there, you don't want little hairs sticking out of your resin. If I do another one of these, I'll probably order in some food grade safe resin, but I'm just gonna use fiberglass. I'm gonna have a mouthpiece on it, so my lips probably won't be touching the fiberglass, but so I'm gonna do a coat of that. I'll I guess get back whenever I'm done sanding. So I got it all sanded. Got my fiberglass resin mixed. Got to work quickly, you don't want it to dry on you, but I've got the end taped off with a plastic bag. It's taped tight so this resin won't drip down. So what I'm going to do here, sorry about the camera angle, I'm going to kind of roll this as I pour this in there. I'm going to kind of roll it so it gets a coat. And then after I roll it and finish this cup off in there, I hope this is enough, but then I've got another paper bag I'm going to tape, a plastic bag I'm going to tape onto the end. And then I'm going to tip it over back and forth and just try to get this whole inside completely sealed. I was told this is not completely necessary, but it does add reverb to your didgeridoo if you seal the inside. So I'm going to seal it off. So I'll get back to you in a minute. Alright, so I ended up having to mix about another half glass of resin. So I'd probably say it took for this, this didgeridoo's long. It's, I don't know, what do you call that, 10 foot? It took 2, I'd say 8-ounce glasses of resin, so about 16 ounces I poured in there. I turned it over upside down for a little bit, and I've just been kind of flipping it. It says the resin dries in 2 hours, so I'll probably flip it one more time and let it sit like this for another 5-10 minutes, and then flip it over to the other side, and then let it sit for probably an hour, I'd say, and then I'll probably debag it and let the excess resin drip out the bottom. I've got this little PVC stand here. I'm gonna put the end of the didgeridoo onto that stand. Probably whenever the 2-hour mark is done. That way it doesn't stick to the PVC. But I'm gonna stand it up straight. I might even have to get a step ladder to to resin the top of this thing, but I want it standing straight up and down when I apply the outer coat of resin to the outside. So sealing the inside is a good thing. I was gonna show y'all. I don't know if you can see it, but right here, I didn't even know there was a crack there, really. It just kind of looked like grain in the wood. Yeah, you can really see it now. Anyway, some of the resin actually came out of that crack and is sealing it up from the inside, and that's kind of necessary to have a good playing didgeridoo, so I'm impressed with the resin. I think it's a great idea. Apparently the Aboriginals from Australia would probably originally use some kind of oil to seal off the inside after they burned it out. But got a splinter. Oh yeah, by the way, this is a very splintery job. If you have gloves that are somewhat penetration proof, I would recommend wearing them. I probably had a dozen splinters in my hand last night from the stringy fibers in this thing. They're like needles. And sorry if I sound funny. I'm wearing a mask right now. The dust from the yucca is pretty aggravating to the respiratory system. I was got a cough from it last night. After not wearing a mask all day yesterday, I was like, today I should probably wear a mask. So if you do this at home, I'd recommend wearing some kind of either a bandana cloth or, you know, just a mask to help keep some fibers out. It's actually a beautiful morning out here. It rained a little bit about 7 o'clock. I wasn't expecting any rain, but it got everything kind of wet and dampened down, and it's actually looks like it's going to be a beautiful day outside. It's almost spring. So here it is. I shortened it 3 different times because apparently big didgeridoos are very difficult to play, and I'm still a beginner. So here's kind of what it sounds like. I'm going to set you up right here. You a little demo this morning. Still warming up. I'm still not very good, but hey, this is my first didgeridoo. So, anyway, there's get you an idea of the length. It's right under 62 inches. Apparently 62 inches is the highest you want. So I cut off this section here. I cut off the little mouthpiece that I made. And I cut off this section. It took me 3 different cuts to finally realize I was getting about the right size. But I think it sounds really good. So that's my how-to didgeridoo.